All right. Hello. Happy Tuesday.
Happy
I'm
Tuesday.
Tony Kelly, and I'm here with Michael and Levi today, and we were going to talk more about what is happening with We the People.
Yeah. Do you want to get started, Michael, or should I?
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead. You're the national chair, so you know
Yeah,
what's going
yeah.
on.
And so we're a decentralized party, so we're really focused on the state and local level. So we've been building up in the states where it's easiest and a few
Yep.
where it's the hardest. That wasn't our doing. We just had a few governor candidates like in New York that wanted to run. New York's like the hardest state. And we're still
Yeah.
trying to build up there to support them, even though it's quite difficult. But there's been a lot of successes in the states where it's easier, it's more reasonable to actually represent the people and get on the ballot. And so that's where we've been focusing. And this is a pretty successful first year. We've already doubled a lot of other third parties who've been around a lot longer than us. And I don't want to name names. I don't know if that's polite, but we've been doing pretty well. And they have ginormous budgets and tons of people in DC. But it turns out if you want to actually build a party, it's better have them in the states where they belong. So that's been our
Right.
focus. That's been our focus.
Yeah. Awesome. How many states now are with us roughly?
So we should have ballot in about 12, and it changes because some states like Hawaii has been changing their ballot laws, so we have to reapply there. But there's teams in probably at least 27 states, but there's actual like a party set up in about 12.
That's cool. That's really cool. I don't think people realize that, like this is a big national thing that we're trying to get into and trying to work with everybody so that everybody has the same opportunities to actually do something that means
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So
real quick there, sorry to interrupt, but if we get to 26 states, like for a presidential election, that's, some states are easier to run as an independent, right? In some states, it's easier to run as a party. And so about 26 or so, it depends, but are easier. So we're about halfway to where we would be for in 4 years, where we need to be for presidential. So to have that done in 1 year is actually quite rare. And I think we should appreciate that. And to people who haven't been in third parties long, they might be like, oh, well, there's out of 50 states. That's not very many. That's a
yeah.
lot. Like, that's a
Yeah.
lot. And like, there's parties
Oh
that have been
yeah.
around there on 2 state ballots and they have $126 million they spent. And so,
Yeah.
and they're proud of those 2 states. And so it's actually quite good. And so in 2 years, 4 years, we'll be much bigger and we'll have that reach that we need. And we can start really making an impact, and we're already able to make an impact at the local and state level, like in
Sure.
Washington and Oregon, where we can run
Yeah.
people right now.
Right.
So with the Libertarian Party, when they first were founded in like 1969, right? And then their first presidential candidate, John Hospers, was only on the ballot in 2 states, in Colorado and Washington. That's it. Like, and he was the first gay presidential candidate ever, right? As running as a libertarian, but he was the first one, and they only had 2 states. That's it.
Yeah.
So I know Kennedy was on multiple states, but wasn't really running. So I think that 2028 is going to be the first year that we are intentionally putting a candidate on the ballot, right?
Yeah. The year of the independence,
Yeah,
our numbers, if
it's
you
going to
look
be
at the
it. Yep. Good.
if you look at the numbers, and this is why even the DC establishment pretends to be independent. Like if you look at the language within the Democrat or Republican Party when they reach out to voters, it's always angling themselves as the outsider, even though they've been there 40 years in office. Or like Bernie
Oh,
Sanders
hey,
has been the perennial outsider my entire
yeah,
lifetime and before I was born and my
in
parents were
Vermont.
born. And so like he's been the outsider forever. And this has been the language. And they
Yeah,
fundraise, and he got the most fundraising small dollar ever as an
yeah,
outsider. And so that goes to show that the money is with the independents, the numbers are with the independents, and all we need is leadership. We need quality leadership and people willing to stand up and fight. And there's an army of people out there willing to fight with them. And there's a lot of voters who are discounted. The biggest group of voters are those who don't vote. like those who don't even
big time.
participate.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So if they,
100%.
and a lot of people for so long, there's this narrative that those people are just uninformed, they're ignorant, they don't understand politics. No, they actually are the most informed often of the voters, and they understand the futility of voting between these two parties when they're both pro-war, pro big pharma,
Yes.
pro agriculture, and they're frustrated because they care about their food and their family and their country, and that's why they don't vote. It's a protestation. And so if you go up there with a quality candidate they can actually say yes to, you can bring down from the mountains, the swamps, the forgotten parts of America, an army that they haven't seen in generations. And they're there. They just know they won't fight for you because they don't trust you. They think, hey, you're just another insider with a different logo trying to tell me some bullshit. And as soon as they see, oh, you're actually challenging big pharma at the state or local level, you're actually taking on the fights that actually matter. When you, that watershed moment is upon us soon, and all we have to do is be willing to fight with them, and we can trust in our numbers, because the Democrat establishment does not have numbers. They on paper, there's a lot of Democrats on paper. How many of them don't vote? How many of them are angry and frustrated and feel unrepresented by a system with Kamala Harris, who not a single vote was cast for, and that was their pick, right? Or like, and so they're angry and they don't know why, and they're frustrated and they don't know why, and they know they need a solution. They don't know it's us yet.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's not just Democrats, right? The Republicans, like here in Pacific County, we have two Republican state reps and one Republican state senator, right? But all of the local politicians are Democrats, right? So there's a lot of pushback between each section, but it's not anything that benefits us as a society, you know?
Yeah. It turns out putting all your hope in a garbage disposal is a bad idea. You know, the parties are garbage disposals. You put your vote in there and they blend it up. That's all they do. They take your hopes and dreams and they blend it. And then they go, oh, why is what healthcare not changing? Why is the jobs not changing? Why is this? Why is that? It's because they're doing the direct opposite of what the voters asked them to do. They vote for peace, they start a war. Every single time. When is the last time Americans voted for the war candidate? It's not in our lifetime. It's been over 100 years they've been selling peace, and then they start more wars. And so we, the voters, if you don't want to vote for something, you know, that has nothing to do with us going to some country we can find on the map to bomb out with billions of dollars and rebuild for trillions, if we actually voted for that, it'd be one thing, but nobody alive supports this system. So then they tell us that we're the minority. How are we the minority when we've been telling you for 100 years we didn't want it? And so like all we need to do is connect to people and let them realize the gap is the party, the garbage disposal, the waste bin, the recycle bin. That's what it is. And people keep thinking, oh, if I just vote Democrat harder, I'm somehow going to make them, they're going to listen to me in DC. It's just like sanctions. Like it turns out that kings and stuff don't care about the poor people. It turns out you can sanction them to death and it does not change the leadership of these countries or these people. And that's what we're trying to do with our votes. We're like, if we take away our votes from the establishment, we give it to another Dem, guess what? It still doesn't affect the elite in DC. It has no impact on their policies or the candidates they pick. And all the research shows this. Pew Center of Research, it's one of the gold standard research ones. It's well considered. They have put out an analysis over 50 years, and it correlates between big donors and their priorities and what is the outcomes of the politicians vote for. And it's almost directly the same thing. It's like a 98% overlap. And between the common voter, it's almost none. There's no correlation between them and you. And so when you realize that, you realize what's broken. So many people in America, they understand what they're passionate about and they understand the solutions they want to see, but they don't understand this piece, this party piece that stands between them and success, and they won't acknowledge it. And that's what's so frustrating, is that you're like, we have this solution.
Yeah. So we, the people, has a solution because we can control the candidates because they're part of our organization and we decide. So right now, currently, it's an oligarchy with extra steps. Like we vote for our oligarchs, right? Every 4 years or every 2 years. But they have no responsibility to us, the people, once they're elected.
Yeah, you're right. And if we can't fire them, they don't respect us. If you
Exactly.
can't give them
Yeah.
a no vote, if you don't have the courage to say no to somebody who's robbing you blind for generations, they're not going to just wake up one day and be like, oh, I should return this money to the Treasury. I should return this money to the Forestry Department,
gonna happen.
USDA. Oh, they shouldn't have given me a loan to KFC to subsidize our product. Like, they're not going to return the money, guys. Like, they're not going to wake up one day and return all our tax dollars and say, I'm sorry. What did you want again? No, that will never happen. We have to vote them out. And with new people who are responsive to us, the people, then yes, we can change these things. And also, a lot of things that people do by blindside themselves is that they'll try to focus on ballot initiatives or something like that, or single vote campaigns. They're like, okay, let's just work together in coalition, like Massey did with the Epstein files. It worked because it made Trump look bad. The Democrats are not going to coalition with Massey again on any other subject. That's it. That was the one time.
Wait. Are you saying that they're not going to end the Fed?
No, right, exactly. Like, or wars, or Ukraine, or Gaza, or any other, or bombing in Somalia. They're not going to stop anything because it was purely beneficial for the Democrat Party to help work with them, and that's it. It was party interest. It wasn't the country. It wasn't the people. It was the party. And so this is the problem when it comes to single issues and narrowing your focus. You can't narrow your focus when somebody can back in, betray you, and say no, right? Your party can undermine every initiative, every ballot initiative, they can reverse. Every institutional vote, they can reverse. Like we just saw with the Epstein files that did go through, they have all these different mechanisms to like get out of doing it. The AG can just say no, and then nobody holds them accountable. Then they try to hold their account. This whole act and with many stages. And I'm glad that they're trying to do something, right? But the problem with doing something is that it makes people feel like you did something, and then they stop, and they don't actually do the real thing that actually holds people accountable, like billionaires who've been doing massive crimes for decades and then just walk free. And then we're like, oh well, they yelled at each other on CNN, so I guess that we all feel better now. And the thing is, I'm not trying to insult the voters. That's not their fault. They've been trying to vote for ethical things in their communities for decades. It's not their fault. What is their fault? I would say the one thing is that they don't understand that the party is not fixable with votes. You can vote 1,000 votes and they can just say no. And that's what I don't think is in the equation. And it's not the voters' fault because what's presented to them is that it does work. And that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, so I think tarring and feathering might actually improve, the...
Is that going to be a Washington initiative? You're going to walk around buckets? I feel like that would be a real problem real soon.
If we brought back tarring and feathering.
I don't think that was to help politics. I'm pretty sure that was against citizens.
So I'm good. So the thing is, though, it's like these politicians have no repercussions for what they're doing, though, right? Just like police with qualified immunity.
Yeah.
Same thing with politicians. Like they're not being held responsible. They are fleecing the taxpayers. They are paying off their friends in NGOs and corporations and whatever, right? And they don't have to face any consequences whatsoever.
Yeah, you're right. And one thing is to go after the money, right? So Citizens United is going to be really hard to pass, but we can do reforms within our party. So by holding people accountable within our own party, we can put somebody on the ballot in every state or in every community that says, hey, this person isn't bought. This person voted in by the people. And if we see X, Y, Z, we can remove them. And then that they didn't buy their way in using insane donations. And so if you fix the party structure and the money structure, that's kind of the whole picture. If you can fix those two things, we can solve a lot of problems. And so that's the fundamental reform that we're providing as we the people, is that these two basic reforms with money and the party, these are the things that are standing between the Americans and solutions. They have genius ideas that just need to be heard. They have amazing candidates all over the country who get crushed and never heard from and never supported and pushed out in the primaries. And we never hear them in the general, where the majority of voters pay attention the most is in the general election, not the primaries. And so there's so many gifted, amazing people who've been run under by this system. The good part about that is there's a lot of them, and we can work with them, and we can try to support them, and we can get their back. And when we show up for each other and start voting for each other and voting for people in your community who serve your community, who are responsive to your voters in your community through a party structure that's accountable and not completely unaccountable through DC donors, that is how you get to any problem. So like, we're the first step in fighting corruption at the party level is the first step in any journey. It doesn't matter what you want to do in America. If you want to make it better, you have to solve this problem. And I just think that as people become more aware of this, they go, oh, okay, that's why for 40 years I voted for this, and they've done the opposite. Like, that's why, because it's so confusing if you're within the two-party system, because there seems to be no explanation for why everything fails, right? They're like, no, like, what is the official narrative of why like healthcare fails? It's the other party, right?
Right.
The Republicans blame the Democrats blame the Republicans, but there's no actual like, okay, well, here's how we're going to fix it. And we've been hearing about it for every election our whole life, and there's no solutions. And so this is how we can do it. This is how we can make a difference. Oh yeah,
So
Ford Party.
Are you familiar with what just happened in Utah?
No, go ahead. I actually know the Ford Party in Utah, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so apparently the Ford Party had a state senator that left the GOP, right, and then resigned. And then the Ford Party held an election within their party.
Yeah.
Then elected her. Can't see her name there. Bus.
To run.
No, she's now the senator.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I've worked with the Ford Party before. I did all these states for them. So and here's the thing people have to understand is the difference between us and other third parties. We're decentralized. DC does not make our decisions. We're not top down. We're bottom up. So it's a very different decision-making process than any other organization, where it's usually there's an office where you just talk to somebody in DC, some former lobbyist or current lobbyist, and then they set things up for you. And what that ends up doing is then all your candidates and policies reflect a DC taste and flavor, rather than from the country and the state and the county it's from.
Sure.
And so ours is going to be much more local candidates, but that's awesome that they did this. And what we need to do is more of this and getting people to run who get pushed out.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking though is also at the same time we can approach current elected politicians that aren't like super, Republican or Democrat, and approach them with our ideals and possibly get them to switch over to We the People.
Yeah, I mean, we want a bunch of we want everybody to run, independents, former Republicans, and Democrats. Here's another angle to that, and that's a great idea. But also young, if you're a young Democrat, you're going to be waiting 20 years in line before you get to run for anything. There's a long line of people that they're manually going to pick before you, and you have to wait your turn. With us, you don't have to. If you're young and ambitious and you're in one of these parties and you just want to start your career and get hands-on with local government or state government and actually do something real and tangible for the people, you can run now. We'll run you now. You don't have to wait. There's no secret queue where you have to wait 20, 30 years like it is for the Republicans and Democrats. And that toxic party politics that pushes out any new ideas or new blood or new people, we can run you. And so if you go up to our counties and say, hey, I want to run, they can run you. And that's all it takes. You don't have to kiss, some DC person or some fundraiser to wink the right donor or right PAC, as we all know probably. And then that's what gets you through. It's just the local people. And so that's beautiful. And that's a good idea. We should definitely run people who are outsiders. And if you're trying to actually solve a problem in the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, you're definitely going to be an outsider because somebody's profiting from that problem and they're a donor.
Yeah.
There's somebody who's profiting from the healthcare all going to 5 companies or the big ag contracts or the construction contracts. And inevitably, they'll get angry that you're fixing it and making it so that more people can get those contracts. And then they're going to call up your party and remove you. So if you're going to be an outsider, if you fix something, you'll be an outsider. And we want to be a party where people who want to fix things can go and find
Yeah.
a home.
Those
Yeah,
are the people who
absolutely.
want to support.
Got to have the solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's so much easier. Like, you know, the thing with like the border, for example, like they were saying under the Biden and most of our lifetimes, you know, it doesn't matter whether you agree or not on it. What I'm just saying is that they were saying, oh, we couldn't stop this number of people coming in, and then they just did, like, really quickly. It goes to show you that a lot of these big unsolvable problems are just because they're intentionally not solving them. Like, there are a lot of these problems. If the party actually had the will and the candidates had the will, they could do it. There's so many things that are much more fixable to make our lives better than people think. It's just they've been told it's impossible, because if that narrative wasn't passed out and they thought it was possible, they'd question why it wasn't happening. And they question why, wait, why are you guys not doing that? Why is the money not going there? And they'd follow the trail and find who's actually responsible, which is a small elite in DC and the party. And they would be held accountable. So party leaders benefit from these narratives. They spread these narratives. And I know, as a party leader, like, how convenient that would be if all the problems were not my problem. It's all some outside, mysterious, ambiguous, like, mist that descends on every state. But no, like, you have to hold people personally accountable, and a lot of things are solvable. We just got to fire the right people and run the right people who are outsiders. And I think that's the solution.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it happen. I'm excited for that one person that gets in and that we can show everybody just exactly how this works. You know,
Yeah.
somebody who's bold enough to get in there and record all of their meetings, you know, and do everything so that everything is out in the open and, you know, has the balls to get out there and really do it.
So the conversation that Glenn and I had about that transparency and that how every state representative should have a live stream going at all times in their office, like, that got the most likes and shares and comments. Like, that should be a platform plank. Government should be transparent.
Yeah, and it's not just the live stream in the office, because a lot of the corruption happens outside the office in informal, like, dinner settings. But that's a first step in the right direction of accountability, and also it shows you how the meat sausage is made, so to speak, like how things actually run. And so that's the good part about it as well.
Yeah, it's important, I think, to take the mystery out of all of this. You know, we always think that it's these big people that are untouchable, that, you know, and we don't realize that they're just people, you know, with with millions of dollars, but, you know, they're still just people, and they can be taken down if we do it together.
I think that's the biggest fear of any elite in any country, is that people realize how fragile they are. That's why they have to create this, like, fear and ambiguous enemies and turn people against each other, because if people actually look up and go, wait a minute, that's we're getting suppressed by a small group of senile senior citizens and 5 donors. That's who's been bullying us around for billions of dollars and screwing up hundreds of millions of Americans' quality of life and livelihood, and sending us to wars to die in, is these 5 guys. Like, no, we can handle them, like, no problem. And so that's why they have to do all this, like, smoke and mirrors and magic shows and elite stuff, because if you see them for what it is, it's so depressing. I've been in the rooms with these world leaders. It's so depressing. Like, you're like, this is what's been bullying me my entire life. This is the death threats and the scares and the fear. Is this?
I've been to the PUD meetings. I've been to city council meetings. I've been to county commissioner meetings. These people are dumb. They are not smart. They are literally just, like, literally at the PUD meeting, the last PUD meeting I went to, 2 weeks ago, right? Because they're trying to charge me $3,600 to set up electrical on a property that is one of my commercial properties, but the tenant was a cannabis grow, right? And they were 7 months behind on their rent, so I evicted them. And they moved out. And then, however, the entire property has a coffee stand, it has a retail store, and they tried to get me to pay $3,600 to turn the power back on.
So
Not
that's
that,
crazy.
not that they owed it. Like
Right.
the tenants didn't owe it. That was a deposit.
Oh my gosh. To just
Yeah.
here's the no, but here's the thing. Like, so if you're an honest business, we will benefit you more than any party in existence, because if there's red
Yeah.
tape, there's corruption, there's bullshit laws in your way that are choking out your business because XYZ, because there's thousands. If you try to do anything in America now, you'll be permitted to death. There'll be a permit for this, a permit for that, a permit for that, and it's all fake, and it's all the agencies that have no accountability, and they just kill your business. And so
Yeah.
we are very good. Like, we're not pro-business in the sense that we take money from a donor and then we do something that only helps 3 mega oligarch run monopolies.
No, it's
that
going to help everyone.
No, we're by helping the little guy, the average
everyone,
business.
every
Exactly.
person.
Exactly.
No,
So everybody in that city, but that one guy who rigged the system to have the 3 federal contracts, everybody but that guy, who's not even in state usually, will be happy. So everybody in your state will benefit, except for like 1 or 2 people who rigged it, basically. Because it's usually federal contracts or county commissioner authorities or county committees that were created for arbitrary reasons that have no ethical boundary.
In this situation here locally, my PUD commissioner agreed with me and asked if they could help. And then the attorney and the manager said, nope. If we do this for him, we have to do it for everyone.
You mean ethical things for everybody?
Yeah, I was like, you should do this for everyone. You should, right?
Yeah. What you're talking about is a new policy. You mean you should fix your broken policy that's hurting people in your community?
Yeah.
And they're like, if we stop hurting this guy, we have to stop hurting everybody. And it's like, okay,
you're right.
That's the right conclusion. You do understand. And so, like, the thing is, in America, if you look at startups and new businesses, it's a generational decline. You just see an insane nosedive. We hear about Silicon Valley and a few exceptions, but as a nation, it's declining. Small business and mom and pop shops of like plumbers, they have this whole. We're going to lose, I think, trillions of dollars.
It's tough, man. It's tough. To be in business nowadays.
So they're permitting you to death, taxing you to death. Inflation's affecting your customers, and then you're not being able to pass it over to a generation of people with degrees that in like arts and politics and sociology that have nothing to do with plumbing, or hands-on techniques. So all the incentives are wrong. The college incentives are wrong to get out people who are hands-on. The monies, the way the federal government set that up, and student loans is really affected negatively the job market. The taxes in the state and federal and local level are crazy, and they don't benefit us. All these entities that are supposedly there for health and safety and fixing things actually make things less safe and less healthy, and end up with lead in our water because the guy who wanted to make the new plumbing company couldn't get his business off the ground. And so like now we have like 100-year-old pipes we're all drinking from, and that they're not fixed and they have lead in them. And so like this is just there's this, like, it's a tip of an iceberg when you talk about corruption and fixing local government, because so many things in our lives in every field. I'm actually very interested in a lot of scientific fields, but I never went in to study them because I realized the government was preventing them from being successful. And I needed to help the government if I wanted to make the biggest impact I could in that scientific field or in any field, because these are the choke point. This is the bottleneck. Whether you want to be a good farmer, well, guess what? The government's the number one problem of the farmers, because they arbitrarily give free money to big ag that then changes the entire prices in the country and globally. And then they control with arbitrary rigged beef and vegetable markets, all these weird relationships with their buddies in Europe and Asia. And then that directly makes your farm not be able to sell a tomato, because guess what? It's worth half as much, as it should be. Yeah. And so your labor and input costs go up. And it feels helpless. You get this sense of helplessness, and we're not helpless. We can fight it, and we can control these things at the local and state level. We can make farmers' lives so much easier. We can make being a teacher easier. We make being a small business owner easier. And the only way is by fighting back against a corrupt system that doesn't value us, and all that it values is the money. So if we want to change things in America, we have to focus on the money. on corruption. And it's not about left or right. It's about coming together, united as a people, pushing back against a broken, corrupt system that has forgotten why it exists. And that's what we can do as we the people in a decentralized way where every county and every country represents the people locally. Because Texas has different battles than we do in Oregon. Oregon has different battles than in Washington. And guess what? They're from all the same people. But they make different little problems as they go around because they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing and they break stuff constantly. And it doesn't even, you know how many billionaires cost themselves money because they break something and it affects them negatively? It's constant. It's constant self-sabotage. And this is why every rich family loses wealth after 3 generations, because their kids mess it up more and their grandkids lose all their money. So within 3 generations, the average billionaire has no money and they're back to being poor again because of this exact thing. They promote people based on nepotism and family relations and not on merit.
Them how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what the government is. The government is just generations of people being selected because they didn't ask questions, because they didn't push the envelope, because they didn't have a new idea. And if they were the guy in the meeting who had the bright idea, he's voted out or pushed out, he does not get promoted. And then you get this amorphous blob that they call DC in our state capitals, that every time you try to go in there to fix anything, it looks like you're speaking a foreign language. You know, they look at you like, who is this guy trying to get his business to function? Who do you think you are? Trying to turn on the lights in your building. The arrogance that he thinks he deserves electricity. He pays us almost half his income and he thinks he could just turn on the lights whenever he wants to. No, he has to go through 30 entities and 6 months of paperwork to do that. Of course. And it's gotten so insane that people forgot what normal is. And we don't realize that we're the richest country in the history of the world and we should be able to turn on our lights and get jobs and be able to live on an income. Like this is the actual reality. And we've been gaslit so hard for so long by both sides that affordability is our fault and it's the other party's fault and it's not their fault and there's no accountability. So like Michael was saying earlier, holding people accountable and replacing the 98% of people who get reelected year after year after year. If you don't change anybody in all 50 states, you're probably not going to have different outcomes on any policy. And so people are policy. We want new people. We want new policies. And I think that's what we can do. Is that about it? Do you guys have anything else you'd like to go over?
Yeah. No, I love it. I think that was fantastic. I appreciate you coming on last minute.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was great. We appreciate you being here and talking about everything that we're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you guys have been doing. It's really helpful. And, you know, it'd be so beautiful and like to see Washington a few months, years from now, to see you guys running people, getting hands-on, actually changing things in your life, seeing something in your community and saying, I helped that business get built. I helped that community get running. I helped that farm get started because you actually cared and you can serve the people, like, and not just feel like we're in a world where nobody cares and nobody gets each other's backs. No, we will.
Nothing that we can do, right?
Exactly. And it gives us sanity to feel like we can reach out and change the world around us and that we're not victims of it. We can actually be the victors. We can actually be the leaders.
100%. 100%. Thanks again, Levi. We will, Michael, are we back tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we're back tomorrow. We'll be here at 5. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Levi. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, you guys.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
You too. Bye.